So we're going to walk through some of the different steps of finding properties, and we're going to walk through all the way through the actual closing of these deals. So first off, it's all about the marketing. And I know when you guys have listened to Phil before, he's spent a lot of time talking about the marketing in your real estate investor blueprint, which many of you guys have. We list about 60 plus different marketing strategies that you can use as a real estate investor. People do ask us, well, what's the best one? The truth is, there's no silver bullet when it comes to investing. There's no silver bullet when it comes to marketing. But the silver bullet that is there is just that consistency. Some of the different strategies that we suggest, again, it depending on how much time you have versus depending on how much money you have, that's where your marketing strategy will fit. But driving for dollars, door knocking, bandit signs, business cards, Craigslist, other investors, social media, realtors, expired listings, many of those things you can do for no money at all, right? But there are many strategies that we use as real estate investors when it comes to marketing that require a lot of money. Some of those include some of the internet marketing, the mass media, marketing and mailing to lists like the non-owner occupant list, bankruptcy, pre-foreclosure, divorce, probate, 30, 60, 90 day, code enforcement, section 8, for sale by owner, notice of substitute trustee sale, water shut off, fire, a model list, Google ads to drive traffic directly to your website, Facebook paid ads with lookalike audiences. There are a ton of ways to be able to market, to be able to find homeowners, people who need to sell their home. After you do your marketing, you will get that call from that motivated seller. Oh, you got a new pop socket? Yeah. I knew you would. You need 1 second of my time?
Yes.
I think we're going to... Okay. Good job. Yeah, go home. Yeah, go home. Love you. Okay. So once you get that call from that motivated seller, you actually have to answer your phone. What we find is that a lot of new investors and a lot of investors in general don't pick up their phone as much as they should, probably because we're getting more spam and telemarketing calls now than ever. But if you are in real estate, please answer your phone. And it seems like I shouldn't have to tell you guys this, but every time I call someone off of a bandit sign, it seems like it goes directly to voicemail. And it's a missed opportunity for them. So I want to make sure that you guys, if you're doing the marketing, go ahead and make sure to pick up that phone when those folks call. Talking a little bit more about marketing, yellow letters is probably one of the most powerful tools out there for a real estate investor, with one exception. So a lot of people use yellow letters on the pre-foreclosure list, and sometimes you will go over to some of these homeowners' houses and they have stacks and stacks and stacks of people who have mailed them letters. While yellow letters are incredibly effective, putting them out to the pre-foreclosure list because it gets a little bombarded may not be the most effective strategy. The pre-foreclosure list is a great list, but we're going to suggest some other ways for you to reach out to them. Specifically, door knocking on them works a lot better, for example, than simply just writing a yellow letter. I always tell investors, especially if they're looking to get that first deal right away, you either want to be first or you want to be last. Meaning you want to be the first person, the first investor who actually gets in front of them and talks to them, or you want to be the last investor that gets in front of them and talks to them. The reason why I say that is because you will be able to get some early on who are ready to make a move, but for the ones who all month long were saying, no, I got this covered, no, I'm going to reinstate it, no, I'm going to get a loan, no, I'm going to, and then right a couple of days before realize, oops, none of that is actually the case. And I talked to one this past auction cycle where he was telling me, and this is a very expensive house in Rollingwood. He was telling me, well, I've got this offer for $1.7 million. I've got this offer for $1.7 million. If you can beat it, then I'll take your offer. And I'm looking at the property, and I'm looking at the comps, and I'm looking at the house, and I'm thinking, gosh, the most that I would pay is probably about $1.2 million. And he's like, well, that's not going to beat my 1.7, so I'm going to go ahead and go with my 1.7. He did not really have that 1.7. In fact, he didn't even have a backup plan at all. So guess what happened today? He went to auction, and another investor bought it at auction today for $1.4 million. So paid even more than what I would pay. But their primary income is not from investing. Their primary income is actually from the legal work that they do as well. So sometimes when this person was reaching out to us, there had been people who had been talking to this gentleman all month long. And he was not ready to make a move because he thought that he had it taken care of. And it wasn't until like I get a call on Saturday mid-morning that he realizes that, well, maybe things were not going to turn out exactly the way I thought. So some people think, oh, well, it's the week before auction, it's too late. No, it's not too late. You can still get in there and really make a difference in someone else's life as well as your own financial life as well. And I will tell you this, guys, all of the money is in the follow-up and follow-through. If you are first and someone tells you, no, I've got it taken care of, and you don't follow up with that person, what I can tell you is this: they probably don't have it taken care of, number one, and number two, they'll probably be on the auction list, or actually de-auction, or number three, they're going to sell it to someone who came in last. So even if someone tells you, I've got things handled, continue to do the follow-up and follow-through. And do know and do be aware that some of the best deals can be some of the most difficult deals. You guys have all met Phil, my husband, in here. I can't tell you how many times we have gotten a deal to what we call the 5-yard line. And something's happened right when we got into the 5-yard line. What are the hardest, what's the hardest distance to get? Right? It's those last 5, right? When everyone is fighting as hard as they can, when all of these different things are coming up and getting in your way, but you don't make any money unless you push it past the goal line. And if you've got to fight for those last 5 in football, let me tell you something, you got to fight for those last 5 just the same in real estate investing, and you don't get that money until you push it over. But some of those most difficult ones can be some of the most profitable ones for us as real estate investors. Sales and negotiation. So whenever you get a call, the first thing you want to do is get over to that house. The first thing that you want to be is be that first person who's talking to them, right? Build that relationship as quickly as you possibly can. The faster you'll be able to do that, the faster you'll be able to box out any other investors that might be coming after you that are not making that appointment immediately to go and meet with that homeowner. And just in general, just get to know that homeowner, understand their situation, understand what's driving them so that you can come up with a solution. And understand that the solution for them, while you might think, it's simply price. Everyone is a rational thinker. Of course it is price. The truth is that very rarely are we truly rational beings, right? Very rarely do emotions not come in and impact the things that we do as individuals, let alone people who are about to lose their home. So do understand their situation, do find a way to help them, and know that it's not always just about the price. You guys have all heard someone say, well, I sold it to them even though they weren't the highest bidder. Why did they do that? Because I liked them, because they took the time to listen to me, because they understood me, because we were similar people and I wanted to do business with them. So don't think it's always just about the price. Try to get in there to build that relationship. As you interview these folks, you will find out their motivation, their reason for selling, the condition of the property, the repairs that are needed on the property as you go through your discussion, your interview with them. And I will say, one thing that I find that a lot of my left-brainers do. Who are my left-brainers in the room? None of you, really. I don't believe that. Who are my right-brainers in the room? Okay, and then all the rest of you think, oh no, I'm the mid-brain. No, you're not. You're either going to be right or left. But what I can tell you is I see this happen a lot with my left-brainers. My left-brainers are reluctant to truly express interest in purchasing a property until after they've done what? All of the analysis and due diligence. My right-brainers are saying, yeah, no, I'm all in, even if it's a terrible deal. But guess what? That right-brainer makes that seller feel like, this guy wants this house, this guy's got me, so they flip a switch, a mental switch, an emotional switch that makes them stop calling other investors. Whether you are left brain or whether you are right brain, you want to always be flipping that switch so that they think that you've got them taken care of. The best way to do that is to firmly express your interest in purchasing that property. So let's talk about some of the nitty-gritty details that a lot of people, especially my left-brainers, and apparently we have none in this room, so I should just skip past this slide. But I'm going to give you guys the non-benefit of the doubt that you are not lying to me. I don't know if there's some, I don't know, I hope I got those double negatives right. But I do need to tell you guys prep. We want you guys to all use the TREC contract. If you don't know where that is, just Google TREC, T-R-E-C. You'll find the list of about 40 contracts, addenda, disclosures, amendments, terminations, etc. on that site. We do see a lot of people who are getting their information from out-of-state gurus or currently attending YouTube University and getting one-page contracts that don't really work here in Texas. You want to use that TREC contract. That's the best one. It will protect you when things go wrong, and it is equally objective. It doesn't lean towards the seller. It doesn't lean towards the buyer. It is a very well-written and fair contract that has also been tested in the courts of law. So that's the one that you want to use. If you some guru online is telling you to use some one-page contract, trust me, don't use it. If you show that contract to another investor, for example, you're trying to wholesale the property, and or if you show that one-page contract to a title company, as soon as you walk out the door, they're going to whisper to their friends or maybe even say very loudly, "What an idiot," okay? This person's probably just got out of a 3-day seminar with an out-of-state guru. We don't want that to be any of you guys, so please read that contract, practice filling it out so that you make sure you get all of those steps right. And let's talk a little bit about analysis and due diligence. This is where most new investors make big mistakes, big financial mistakes, and I don't want that to be any one of you guys. So, no, we're good. Thank you. See you next time. I want to make sure that that's none of you guys. You have to have a great realtor, an investor-friendly realtor on your power team to help you with that level of due diligence that you need to make an investment successful and profitable. To give you the real ARV, that after repair value upon which we make our offer formula, and to give you the comps to actually be able to back up that value. So as you're doing your due diligence, the Realtor CMA is the best way to figure out what a property is worth. Tax records, kind of a last resort. Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, whoever else, you really don't want to use those at all. They're directional, but they could be off by anywhere from 5 to 10% or more. Did you know that your typical profit in a real estate transaction, if you use the real estate investor maximum allowable offer formula, is somewhere between 10 to 15%? So if your ARV is off by that 10%, well, that's 2/3 of your profit, right? And then let's hope that your repairs come in on budget. I don't want to leave any of your investing or any of your finances up to Hope or up to Redfin, Trulia, or Zillow. So please, guys, get an investor-friendly realtor on your power team to help you guys do that due diligence. Now, as you're talking to someone and you're doing your due diligence, and this is apart from getting the actual CMAs, you want to find out what kind of repairs that property needs, because that's part of what we use to create that offer. That's part of the real estate investor maximum allowable offer formula, understanding what those repairs are. A lot of new investors ask what I call subjective questions, meaning, can you tell me the condition of this property? Can you tell me what you would do if you had money? Can you tell me what your neighbors are doing? All of these things, very subjective questions. You're going to get subjective answers, which are not going to allow you to put a dollar figure on the repair value. If you want to get an objective number, you have to ask objective questions. The best question to ask when you're trying to figure out what the repairs are going to be is as follows. When was the last time you replaced the air conditioning unit? When was the last time you replaced the water heater? When was the last time you updated the kitchen, updated the bathrooms, replaced the flooring, painted the house, updated the electrical? Are those objective questions? The answer is yes, and they're going to give you objective answers that will help you figure out what your repair is without ever needing to go and see the property. Now, you do have to compare those answers to what you are seeing from the realtor who gave you the comps. What does that mean? If the realtor that gave you the comps, if all of the comps in that neighborhood that have that high ARV that you're looking to resell your property for have my favorite colors, granite and stainless steel, and if your subject property has not updated their kitchens or bathrooms in 15 years, what do you know you have to do with those kitchens and bathrooms? Completely update those, right? So those are the types of questions you want to make sure to ask to make sure you get those right numbers. Yes, sir?
What about roofs? Roofs usually...
Oh, no, I just listed like 5. Oh, you want to stay here all night? We certainly can.
I think that's crucial.
But of course, without question. So I only listed maybe 5 of the 65 different things, yes. But I, as you guys saw, I've got a munchkin. We've got a long division test tomorrow, right? Yes, ma'am.
Could you use the real estate IQ instead of a realtor, or do you still
Okay.
need a realtor?
So that's a great question, and that's tough for me to answer because Real Estate IQ is one of our vendors, and they provide a great service. What I've found is that a lot of online tools that help you estimate ARV are very good at the science of creating an after repair value, but are not very good at the art of creating an after repair value. There are neighborhoods where, you only need science, meaning there are neighborhoods where almost all the houses are exactly the same, okay? They're all built around the same time frame. They all have about the same amenities. Science works perfect there. You don't need any art. But there are other neighborhoods, like try all of East Austin, where the science doesn't work, okay? And where it becomes more of an art form. So as much as I would like to say, yes, your answer is this, the truth is that's not going to get you exactly. In some situations it will, but not in every situation. So that's where I say refer to Exhibit A, always have an investor-friendly realtor who can give you not just the science, but also the art to be able to create these ARVs that will make sure you are profitable in your investment. So I don't care that it's work, I only care that you make money. And to me, it's worth it to put in that work. Let's see, you'll make your offer over the phone. If your numbers are close, again, set up and or confirm that appointment that you originally made and bring your offer documents with you. But as a pro tip, if you want to skip ahead, go ahead and put those offer documents in either DocuSign or HelloSign. DocuSign is something that I've been using for probably about the last 12 or 13 years. HelloSign, I actually prefer it now, even though I'm still a DocuSign user. I prefer it now because HelloSign says, so with DocuSign, you scroll and then you hit initial, and you scroll and you hit initial. And it probably takes you about 45 seconds, for example, to get through a full contract after you put in your signatures and your initials. With HelloSign brilliantly says, hey, would you like to save about 40 seconds in your day today? Everywhere that the person who sent this to you to put an initial or a signature, hey, we can just put that in for you right now. You don't even have to scroll through. Would you like that? And of course, what does everybody say? I would love to have another 40 seconds back in my life today. So HelloSign is even, to me, has some better qualities than, for example, DocuSign. If you do that, you can kind of skip ahead to some of the other steps in this process as well. So you have the property under contract. You've done your armchair investing. You've done your armchair due diligence. Now let's talk about where the rubber meets the road, where, as my friend Nancy says, we get under the hood of this property, okay? So you'll meet with the seller at their house. You may have to estimate or re-estimate repairs on the spot. So if, for example, you did forget to ask about the roof, right? Now's your chance to actually see it in person and decide whether or not it needs to be replaced. So you may have to, as a result, adjust your offer if necessary. If you did not already sign a contract via DocuSign, via HelloSign, you'll have to sign a contract right then and there. If you did already sign that document via one of those different resources, now you only have to sign a one-page amendment, which is significantly less intimidating to a homeowner as they're looking with it. But as a pro tip, I've got a couple of different pro tips listed for you here. And bring somebody who's seasoned with you, because if you're new, you may not know exactly what to look for. Wiring issues, plumbing issues, foundation issues. There's a lot of tribal knowledge out there about real estate investing, and if you're brand new, you shouldn't expect to have that immediately. And if you don't bring someone with you who actually has that tribal knowledge, you're probably going to miss something that will either cost you money or lose profit for you, right? So bring someone with you. They can also help with the live negotiations. So if you are not a closer and you need a closer, bring one along for the ride, right? Split the profit with them, split the deals with them. And they can also help with live repair estimates. I've been taught that there are several degrees of competency. As you get started, you're unconsciously incompetent, so you have no idea what you don't know. And then, for example, you come to the real estate club and you're like, wow, there's a lot that I don't know. So you become aware of your incompetency, right? And then as you start to practice it and get in your reps and go to look at properties and become an investor, then you become consciously competent. So you still have to review your notes before you do something, but you've got it all in there. And then you get to the stage where you become unconsciously competent, where you can basically do things in your sleep, right? But it is a progression and it does take time. The more valuable people and pros you can bring with you, the more you'll be able to shortcut that. Another pro tip, bring a lockbox with you. It will help you save time and money, and time is money. So you want to put a lockbox on that property. So for example, if you live in Dripping Springs and you have a property in Georgetown, that's Georgetown's practically South Dallas, right? So somebody lives in Dripping Springs. So if you have a lockbox on there, then guess what? You don't need to make that hour and however many minute drive to get there. Anytime you want to get into the property, show the property, have a contractor access the property, or even have a buyer go in to check it. Also suggest bring all the forms with you. So for myself, I keep all of the forms, both blank, for me just blank forms, in a manila envelope. If you are new, you want to keep both the blank forms and a sample of one that's filled out correctly so that you're not fumbling in front of the homeowner, so you're not fumbling in front of the seller. Some more tips, you can email that contract over to the title company with the earnest money. Pro tips, don't stop driving everywhere. Have Favor deliver it for you. Great, wonderful, you don't even get in your car. Venmo to the title company, wire to the title company. More title companies are receiving money in different ways, so those are some options for you. For the seller, option fee, cash, check, Venmo, that all works. After you take that contract over to the title company, if you are planning on assigning that contract, please let the title company know so they don't have to recreate the documents as time goes by. And we've got some great pro tips for if you think you have a squirrely seller. So sometimes our sellers sell to us and then to the next person who comes along and offers more. Even though they cannot do that, sometimes they do. So we'll give you some pro tips to make sure that does not happen to you. Let's see, if you are wholesaling, so you'll want to market the property to your list of buyers. And it's interesting because this is kind of a chicken and the egg conversation. So some investors will say, well, I don't want to talk to any other investors until I have properties. And then some investors will say, well, I don't want to go and talk to homeowners until I have investors, right? Well, which one comes first? The answer is you need to be sourcing sources of capital and sources of deals all the time, at the same time. Don't gate one with the other. This is not sequential, okay? This needs to be parallel paths. That is your quickest way to get success as a real estate investor. How do you find buyers? The real estate investors. I'd be happy to purchase any properties you guys have. Landlords in the area, hard money lenders, IRA events, etc. You'll want to give your end buyer the relevant data, the relevant details. They're going to want to know what the property is worth. They're going to want to know what the repairs are. And if you are selling to a premium buyer, and a premium buyer we define as someone who will pay more than that 70% of ARV minus repairs, and usually in that case we'll keep it as a rental property, give them the rents as well so that they don't have to do any work. They just are reviewing your information. Pro tip, get the financing lined up. So we have several different hard money lenders as part of this association. If you put a property under contract, you take it to a hard money lender and the hard money lender says, yes, I approve of all of your numbers and yes, I'll fund that deal. And if you're wholesaling, how much more credibility is your wholesale deal going to have if you have a hard money lender who's already rubber stamped it and said, yes, I'll fund this deal? A lot more. So that's a little pro tip to be able to get it sold a little bit faster. Step 8, if you're wholesaling the property, again, you'll meet with any potential end buyers at the property, or again, if you were smart and invested in a $20 4-digit combo lockbox, you'll just send them with the combo code. You do want to protect yourself, and this first pro tip is like, well, that sounds like an idiot tip, and it is, okay? It's obvious, it should be obvious, but I have seen new investors try to wholesale deals that they did not have under contract and then did not get paid, okay? It happens all of the time. So please, let's get the basics down pat. Let's have that property under contract. You can also protect yourself by having what's called a memorandum of contract. So a contract by itself is not a notarized document, but a memorandum of contract is a notarized document. And having the notary stamp on there, what does that now allow you to do? File it at the county. File it at the county. Cloud the title. That way, if the seller later decides, oh, I changed my mind, I want to sell it to the person who came by 3 days after you and offered me $5,000 more. Well, when they go to take their contract to title, they're going to pull up my memorandum of contract, which is going to stop them from closing, and it's going to make them do what? Give me a call to ask me to release my memorandum of contract, to which I will say what?
For how much?
For how much? Yes. Send me the release. I would be happy. Is today good? Because it's good for me too, right? For a price. So this puts you in an opportunity to renegotiate there. And so that protects you on the seller side. Let's talk about protecting you on your end buyer side to make sure you're not dealing with an end buyer who is a bad person, okay? Someone who's trying to cheat you. So the way to do that is to have the end buyer sign a non-circumvent agreement, which is basically a legal and enforceable agreement that says if you go around me and buy this house from me, and you personally or any one of your entities, you still owe me this assignment fee, okay? But what's even better than that? And it's a pro tip I don't have listed here. This is the stick pro tip. What's the carrot pro tip? When you are talking with your end investor, the person you're wholesaling to, don't say, oh, this is the first deal that I've ever done, and I'm just getting started this real estate thing, I really suck. Instead say what? Because they may think, oh, it's just a little Bambi sitting out in the woods. My buyer seller just got this big old gun, and what are they thinking? Oh, don't do that. Don't set yourself up like that. Instead say, man, Hunter, if you like this deal, I'm working on 3 more just like that. Some of these 3 I think even have better profits than this one. What's your appetite for taking down these deals? How much money do you have? What does Hunter now want to be? He's giving me these eyes. I don't know if he's giving me these like sleepy eyes, bedroom eyes, or he's in love with this wholesaler who's going to do what? Be a gravy train to him for forever. What is the likelihood that he might try to circumvent me, knowing that I have a lot more deals? It goes to the square root of 0. Use that to your advantage. Whether or not, don't let the truth get in the way of a good of a good wholesale deal. I'll say that. When it comes to making sure you don't get lose your profits there. Let the truth get in the way and be your guiding factor when you're giving ARV and when you're giving repairs and when you're giving rents with that question. So I want to be clear on that comment. Step 9, negotiate your wholesale fee with your end buyer. Sign an assignment fee contract. Want to make sure you guys do not get fined by TREC when you are wholesaling. What does that mean? TREC has put out some, Texas Real Estate Commission and the state legislature have put out rules and codified those rules to say if you do not wholesale a property properly, then you are open to getting fined by the Texas Real Estate Commission. That fine is typically a $5,000 fine. Would you guys like to know how to avoid, and you didn't even know, that's it. What do you mean, you get in trouble for this? Yes, it is called acting like an unlicensed realtor. That is a finable expense from TREC. Please do not do that. How do you avoid that? Please use these words. You are selling the contract. You are not selling the property. Okay? If you are selling a property, then you're not a licensed realtor, then you're acting like a realtor who is unlicensed, which is that $5,000 fee. Part 2, you also have to disclose, and this again is idiotic, but this is what they've put forth. We have to adhere to it so we keep ourselves safe. You have to disclose that you do not own the property. Yeah, if I owned it, I wouldn't be wholesaling it, I would be selling it. But that's them. We have to abide by it. And then you will tell people you are selling your equitable interest in the property. Equitable interest stems from the fact that you are the buyer on that contract, meaning you have control of that property. Meaning only you can buy that property. Because the way that the TREC contract is written is it is a unilateral option contract. The only person that can back out is the buyer, not the seller. You have that equitable interest in that property, means practically you have practical ownership, assuming that you close. That's what you need to disclose. If you want more information about that, just go to the TREC website, and I put in the full URL here. But all you have to do is type in equitable interest. It'll take you to the article that explains some of this stuff. Not actually in as much detail as I just have, but I've seen investors get fined. So I know exactly what they want to have said, and I want to make sure I protect you guys. Typical TREC contract, typical assignment contract. Just to let you know, TREC doesn't necessarily want you to, it's not illegal, but TREC doesn't necessarily provide a form for you to do this. So this is a place where, yes, you'll have to get a form off of the internet and or have an attorney draw this form. So because TREC doesn't do it, the forms that you might find online do not say, in many cases, I don't own the property, I'm selling the contract, not the property, and I'm selling my equitable interest in the property. You will have to personally insert those into whatever assignment agreement form that you might find online. So very clear on that? Because TREC doesn't make that. But an attorney will make that for you, and you can insert it into many of the assignment agreements that are already online. Let's see, handle the closing. So there's a couple ways you can do it. You can do a direct assignment, which means a single closing, which means the seller is going to be listed as the seller, your end buyer is going to be listed as the end buyer, and then you, as the investor who's wholesaling the deal, you're going to get paid on page 2 of the closing disclosure document, also for some people known as the HUD document, okay? If you are making an obscene amount of money, most people define obscene as you're making more than about $20,000, okay? If you're making an obscene amount of money, you will need to buy an insurance policy to protect your obscene amount of money. That insurance policy is effectively a double closing. So you're going to have to pay for closing twice. You will buy it in the morning, A, to B, from the seller to you, B, the investor, you're the investor B. In the afternoon, you will sell it to your end investor, investor C. So there will be an A to B closing and then a B to C closing. It's going to cost you a little more. But think of it as buying an insurance policy that it protects the obscene amount of money that you are about to make when you close on this property. Title companies, make sure that they can do this. Not every title company is familiar with this. Real estate investors are not the 80%. Real estate investors are the 20% or less of their transactions. So some are familiar, some are not. Make sure that they are familiar with doing wholesales. Send your revised contract or that amendment to the, or that assignment agreement to the title company with your invoice. I've seen, and I get to tell you guys the worst of what I've seen because I've been doing this for almost 16 years now. But I have seen investors not send invoices to the title company and think that their C buyer, their end buyer, is just going to take care of them somehow, and then they do not. And that's hard to unwind. So again, this is not a pro tip, but this is a don't be an idiot tip. I have to say these things. I wish I did not, but if I skip them, then somebody's going to do something stupid and I'm going to feel bad. But send an invoice to the title company. Very straightforward, very simple. That works. So you get paid on the closing disclosure document, cash a check, and of course you're going to want to do it all over again. So let's very quickly go through the real estate investor maximum allowable offer formula. This is the basics of what you have to know as a real estate investor. This is the do not pass go, do not collect $200. There will be a quiz on it tonight before you leave this room. The real estate investor maximum allowable offer formula for a buy, fix, and flip is the 70% of the ARV minus repairs. Oh, I copied and pasted it and I left that part off. For wholesaling, 70% of the after repair value minus repairs minus your fee. Now there are many variations of this formula. We'll talk more about what you can do on properties that, for example, might owe 100% of the ARV minus repairs. We're going to show you at our 3-day training how you guys can make money off of that as well. Just to make sure we round you out as a real estate investor. So guys, the truth about wholesaling as a way to get money in real estate, as a way to start your real estate career, is that it's sometimes easy and fun. Sometimes it's very difficult depending on the seller that you're working with, but it's always good experience as long as you're making money. It's a great networking strategy. If you have a deal, everyone wants to be your BFF, your best friend forever. It's great at getting started. There's not a lot of risk, but it is hard to make money, make an income, make a living as a full-time wholesaler because someone else is always coming behind you, and if they're not wholesaling, if they're keeping it for themselves, then they're probably going to offer more than you might offer, right? And the truth is you've never heard of the millionaire wholesaler because there's no such beast. Because eventually the wholesaler graduates to using many of the other strategies that we use as real estate investors after we build that foundation, after we build up some capital, after we become competent and build up some of those skills. So guys, I hope this presentation was helpful to you all today, and look forward to seeing you at our 3-day training and at our next meeting. So thank you guys for being with us tonight.